Familial Dysbetalipoproteinemia, also known as type 3 hyperlipoproteinemia, is caused by a deficiency in apolipoprotein E. This causes an inability to clear chylomicron remnants and IDL, which manifests clinically with premature atherosclerosis, Palmer-Crease xanthomas, and other findings. In this video, I'll show you my visual mnemonic for familial dysbetalipoproteinemia, so you'll be ready for test day. For this image, we turn to the set of this year's presidential debate. The word debate should help anchor you to dysbetalipoproteinemia. Get it? A debate for dysbetalipoproteinemia? It's the dysbetalipoproteinemia debate. And fitting with the times, our debate's moderator is asking the question, does industry contribute to environmental pollution? Our first contender is aggressively arguing against the idea. In stark contrast, the other contender is passionately arguing for increasing governmental regulation. First, take a look at the image on the projector screen. It looks like one of the candidates is showing some images from a recent oil spill in Southeast Asia. Take it from a veteran debater. Showing evidence is a great technique to persuade the audience. Anyway, it turns out that the oil spill in question was caused by a pipeline malfunction. See where the pipe broke? The inside of that oil pipe is completely clogged up. Speaking of clogged pipes, familial dysbetalipoproteinemia is characterized by premature atherosclerosis. Because of atherosclerosis, arteries get clogged up by fatty plaques, right? Kind of like our pipe here. Patients with familial dysbetalipoproteinemia have accelerated atherosclerosis and classically present with vascular disease at a young age. This is high yield, so be on the lookout for dysbetalipoproteinemia whenever you see a heart attack in a younger patient. Next, take a look at the big tree trunk that's fallen on the ground behind the pipe. You see, while the company was constructing this oil pipeline, they had to cut down some large trees to make space for the pipes. Or maybe the trees just died from environmental damage. Either way, this fallen tree should help remind you that familial dysbetalipoproteinemia is also known as type 3 hyperlipoproteinemia. Get it? A tree for type 3? Next, check out all those dead eels in the water. This pipe burst really caused quite the environmental disaster. These dead eels should remind you of defective apolipoprotein E. Dead eels for defective ApoE, or apoeel. Recall, ApoE is used to clear chylomicron remnants and IDL from the bloodstream into our liver, which leads us to our next symbols. Take a look at the idol statue over the water. No wonder why the pipe burst. The angry nature spirits must have caused this. And since we're in Southeast Asia, now we have an international disaster on our hands. This idol should remind you of IDL, which is also known as a VLDL remnant. Get it? An idol for IDL? IDL is cleared from the bloodstream via ApoE, so defective ApoE leads to IDL accumulation. Recall that IDL is what's left over after most of VLDL's triglycerides have been removed. The IDL particle is therefore made up of mostly cholesterol, and it is this cholesterol that contributes to the premature atherosclerosis we talked about earlier. For more detail, check out our image on VLDL metabolism. Next, let's turn back to the debate. It looks like one of the candidates has brought in some oil samples straight from the pipeline. That's right, a good debate is always won with strong evidence. Anyway, these glass bottles of oil are here to help you remember triglycerides, also known as triglycerides. And these glass bottles are filled with fatty oil, kind of like triglycerides. These triglycerides are here to help you remember that familial dysbetalipoproteinemia is characterized by high triglyceride levels. So why is this seen? IDL does contain some triglyceride content, which may help explain why triglyceride levels are elevated. That being said, the mechanism here is really more complicated. You should probably just memorize this fact. Next, take a look at the small cart our oil samples were rolled in on. At Pixorize, we use small autos, like carts, to symbolize autosomal recessive inheritance, while large, dominant automobiles, like tanks and trucks, symbolize autosomal dominant inheritance. The small cart here should therefore help you remember that familial dysbetalipoproteinemia is inherited in an autosomal recessive manner. Now, why does this matter? Well, familial dysbetalipoproteinemia is actually pretty rare, which is at least explained in part by its autosomal recessive inheritance. This is in contrast to familial hypercholesterolemia, which is inherited in an autosomal dominant fashion and is therefore much more common. Both diseases present with premature atherosclerosis and may cause heart attacks in young patients. Long story short, think about familial hypercholesterolemia before familial dysbetalipoproteinemia in question stems. You should check out our scene on familial hypercholesterolemia to learn more about that disease. Next, take a look at the new candidate who is about to take the stage. Before taking the stage, though, he must raise his right hand and swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. See how his palm is raised? Let this raised palm remind you of palmar crease xanthomas. This is a key clinical finding in patients with familial dysbetalipoproteinemia. And as far as exams are concerned, this finding is pretty specific for familial dysbetalipoproteinemia. Recall that a xanthoma is just a fatty deposit that develops underneath the skin, and they are often seen in the hyperlipoproteinemias. Next, take a look at the guy who's correcting the new debater's posture. This guy was so worried about making a good impression on TV that he even brought his personal chiropractor to the debate. For those of you who aren't in the know, chiropractors are basically just alternative medicine practitioners who work with the musculoskeletal system, especially the spine. And speaking of spines, this candidate is definitely standing up straight now. Anyway, let this chiropractor remind you of chylomicron remnants, which are also elevated in familial dysbetalipoproteinemia. Recall that chylomicron remnants are cleared from the blood via apolipoprotein E. A lack of ApoE would then obviously raise chylomicron remnant levels. Chylomicrons normally carry dietary fats to tissues. After releasing most of their triglyceride contents, they are termed chylomicron remnants. And at this point, they contain mostly cholesterol. An increase in chylomicron remnant levels, therefore, also contribute to the premature atherosclerosis that we mentioned earlier. Oh, covering this presidential debate has me wanting to stretch my back too. Okay, before our candidate's time is up, let's do a quick recap. Familial dysbetalipoproteinemia is also known as type 3 hyperlipoproteinemia. It's an autosomal recessive disorder that is caused by a deficiency in apolipoprotein E. ApoE normally clears chylomicron remnants and IDL from the circulation, so a mutation here leads to an elevation in these lipoproteins. It is this increase in cholesterol-rich remnants that contributes to the premature atherosclerosis seen in this disease. The disease is also characterized by high triglyceride levels, and it may have findings such as palmar crease xanthomas. Okay, that's it for now. Our presidential debaters look pretty tired. Hopefully they'll find a way to clean up that oil spill in Southeast Asia. Until next time.